Namibian President Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah has emphasized the need to address corruption as it hinders development of communities. She has appealed to her peers on the continent to tackle challenges facing African people. Nandi-Ndaitwah has also committed herself to work for all Namibians. The pouring rain did not deter those who wanted to witness history being made. Many influential women in the SADC region have also commended the people of Namibia for electing a woman president to lead their country. For Namibians, a day to celebrate the inauguration of the new president and Independence Day. The outgoing president has called on Namibians to support his successor. In her message, the president of Namibia called on Namibians and the international community to ensure that challenges facing the globe are addressed, and the issue of corruption was also raised.
Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah.
Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah.
Do hereby swear.
Do hereby swear.
That I will strive to the best of my ability.
That I will strive to the best of my ability.
To uphold.
To uphold.
Protect.
Protect.
And defend.
And defend.
As the supreme law.
As the supreme law.
The Constitution of the Republic of Namibia.
The Constitution of the Republic of Namibia. In all its manifestation, should be avoided at all costs. As a student of Mwalimu Nyerere, he taught me, and he also said it in one of his writings, that corruption must be treated as treason. And I agree, because through corruption, citizens can be frustrated and in the process overthrow governments.
For more on this, we're now joined by international news editor for the SABC, Sophie Mokoena, and she joins us now via our telephone line. Sophie, thank you so much for your time this evening. Certainly a very historic moment, not only for the continent, but most importantly for the people of Namibia. Just take us through the inauguration which we witnessed today.
Yes, indeed. Many leaders from the region attended the inauguration, and that was a clear indication of support for the incoming president, Nandi-Ndaitwah.
And Sophie, you know, quite notable, as you mentioned, some of the notable figures in which we saw today. Take us through, you know, those we saw from South Africa in particular, and also just the African continent as a whole.
Most of the leaders who were in the country here in Namibia to attend the inauguration from South Africa included the current president, Cyril Ramaphosa, the former president, Jacob Zuma, former president Thabo Mbeki, the former deputy president, Dr. Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka, the former foreign affairs minister, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma, the former minister, Lindiwe Zulu, and the ANC First Deputy Secretary General, Nomvula Mokonyane, and also the current Treasurer General of the ANC, Dr. Gwen Ramokgopa. The Secretary of the ANC, Fikile Mbalula, was also here. I even spoke to him after the inauguration, including President Cyril Ramaphosa.
And Sophie, I mean, this is the second female president we are seeing on the continent. And, you know, with this inauguration, what does it mean, particularly for us as an African people, and also, you know, for the leadership of women on the continent?
I think, as you know, that when she started politics, she indicated that she was 14 years old. She went to exile. And she was part of a delegation that represented the women in the SADC region at Beijing 30 years ago. And one of the key issues in Beijing revolved around women as leaders. And I think 30 years on, her taking over the reins It's perhaps a clear indication that whatever decisions were discussed in Beijing, some countries have taken note, and therefore women who are capable,
she's the first,
who are ready, are making that statement that we have to be considered.
And Sophie, when you look at the mood of the country, when we saw her deliver that inauguration speech, also promising there to tackle corruption, how important is tackling corruption for Namibians and also just as a whole for the African nation, particularly with South Africa, as we battle with something of the same nature?
You would recall at some point in time there was a huge scandal here in Namibia, in the fishing industry. And we know that some ministers were arrested and high-profile people. When I spoke to President of Namibia ahead of the inauguration on Wednesday, she pointed out that some of those people who were fingered are still in jail, some of them waiting for their legal processes to be completed, and that speaks to accountability. But you know, when you listen to that clip that you heard earlier on, where she's talking about corruption, you can see the body language, the tone, that as someone with vast experience in politics, both in government and in the party, she has been observing what's happening on the continent, particularly in the southern region, where you had these liberation organizations. Today, people are saying some of them are corrupt, some of the leadership in those liberation organizations are corrupt, and we've seen how they are performing in recent times in terms of electoral fortunes. And therefore, I think she was sending a strong message, particularly to the sister parties, that people will revolt, and you will see change of government, because this is what has been happening in the southern region, and therefore saying that something must be done, and it's time to deal with such acts, and also particularly the civil servants, saying that they must be committed, and she is going to ensure that Namibia has got ethical civil service.
Sophie, what are the people of Namibia saying? Are they confident in her leadership and also confident in their first time having a female at the helm?
Well, people will differ in any country. Some, those who supported the opposition during elections, will always have issues, particularly in relation to SWAPO, as the current president pointed out that what has been happening in the SADC region in many countries, where there was sort of a failure for leaders to account and to have these kinds of stories of corruption, has led to people who have lost confidence in the governing, particularly parties from the liberation generation. And therefore, people have different views, particularly young people who are not there. They don't understand why they don't have jobs, why the economy is sluggish. And you can't tell them about the struggle because they were not there. They want to see change now. They want to work. They want to provide for themselves. And I think you get that kind of a view all over the African continent, including there back home. And the election results are a clear indication of a nation that was restlessness. I mean, the governing party, we know that it derives its support from the Black African majority. And because you go to townships, there are no roads, there's no water sometimes, and in some areas you have improvements, in other areas you don't have improvements. People are becoming restless and also impatient, and some will decide to stay away, not to vote. Because when you look at the outcome of the elections in South Africa, many supporters of the ANC didn't go to vote. In other words, they still don't trust other parties, but they decided to hold their votes because they were not happy. So she was actually saying that, and that's the view here, and that is why perhaps she did send that strong message looking at all the other leaders who were here, because almost all leaders of SADC were here, except the president of Malawi. DRC was here, South Africa, Botswana, Tanzania, Mozambique, Angola, all these leaders in the SADC region, including some in other regions. President William Ruto of East Africa was here, and other countries did send ministers and senior people. I mean, for example, Rwanda, the foreign affairs minister, and I'm told that President Kagame even agreed that he can use his presidential jet to come here, the foreign affairs minister. Yeah. A clear indication that he would have wanted to be here, but those challenges in East Africa, between Rwanda and the DRC, but the president of the DRC did come.
Sophie, thank you so much for that update. That's international news editor Sophie Mokoena there.